estate agent, brokered by eXp Realty, and owner of the Empire Realty Group.
And we are Sisters in Real Estate.
Hello, and welcome, beautiful people, to our podcast. I'm LaShonda, the realtor.
And I am Nikita Jacobs, your home and loan girl.
And we are Sisters in Real Estate. Hey. So we're super stoked. We're like keeping this thing going and breathing and living. And we got some good feedback on the first episode, and people were, just chiming in and just showing love. And we really, 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 really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much.
Literally, we do. We are just two sisters coming together. And
Yep.
It is, right?
Yep. So on this episode, we're actually going to be talking a little bit about renting versus buying. I know that's a hot topic right now. A lot of people are kind of getting discouraged about buying a home, and they're just, defaulting to renting. And we just kind of want to give you guys some pros and cons, or like just a little bit of market stats for what it looks like to rent versus buying.
All right.
So, I'll dive right into it. I don't want to tarry too long. So I have some actual stats.
Come on then, stat girl.
I came with the stats. I got the numbers. So there's this article that I received from one of my title partners that gave me kind of owning versus renting based on a home price of $315,000. So right now you could probably rent a house in a decent area, probably a house that's maybe built in the 1970s, 80s or something like that, for probably about $1,600 a month in a decent area. And I'm in Tarrant County, like the southwest side. So this is kind of what I'm seeing, because I know a lot of people, like, their sweet spot is between $1,300 and $1,500 a month. But like the lowest that I've seen in a decent house where it's just move-in ready, you don't have to do anything, is like $1,600 a month. And that's like just a regular, maybe 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet, something like that. And that's not easy to come by. A lot of people are kind of hopping on those. They're not like just sitting on the market, just waiting for people to grab them. So when you're going through like a rental process, it can be, I feel like it could be a little more, they can be a little more strict when it comes to renting versus when you're going through the home buying process. Like you're renting from either a property management company, but ultimately you're renting from the owner of the house. And they've either hired a property management company to help facilitate the tenant search criteria, or, they've hired a realtor to just put it on the market for, the vast majority to see that it's for lease. And then they're doing background checks. Like, a lot of them don't want any criminal history. They want you to have sometimes 3.5 times the rent amount and income. They want you to have a 680 plus credit score. And I'm like, they're renting your house. Like, I get it, but they're renting your house. But on the flip side, when you're buying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nikita, because you're the loan officer expert, not me, but they're not looking at your background like that. They're not, checking to see if you are like a criminal, as far as I understand it. But I mean, as far as like certain criminal things, I don't think they care about. And then they have wiggle room on like the credit scores. Like, you can purchase a house with as low as a 500 credit score with some lenders. And they don't look at it to say you have to have at least 3.5 times the rent. Now, there are, criterias and, formulas that you have to kind of abide by, but I feel like it's a little easier to get a house than it is to rent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to the first part where we were talking about the renting and the criteria for renting. And kind of like the landlord's perspective or the property manager's perspective. And the reason that they're like that, because they want to get really good people into their homes. Just imagine every time somebody move out, you have to be the one to go in and renovate that bad boy, depending upon how bad that home is, or how bad, because people are like, it ain't, I'm renting it. So some people will take good care of it and some people won't,
Yeah.
and so if you're ever thinking about becoming an investor or a renting out a property, you will understand more of why they have decided to tighten up on some of those guidelines, because people don't respect the home that they're renting, and
Yeah.
so that's what makes it hard. That's why they kind of be like, no dogs, no, no pets. I mean, nothing this, because if you have pets and they're all around, they could easily just kind of tear up the house a little bit more if it wasn't, so
Yeah.
but yes, their criteria, yes, is basically you could purchase a home, with, if you work at it, if you're intentional. I would never say, and this is just me as a loan officer, if you're at a 500 to go and buy a house, I would say work on your credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And plus you have to pay more money down. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
you could, but then that means you have to have a lot of money. And if you got a lot of money, that's fine. You reach out to your girls. Uh, but that if you don't and you want to get yourself at least above a 580,
Yeah.
that would, at least for an FHA, get you at 3.5% down,
Yeah.
now that if you're needing down payment assistance and things like that, then you need to increase your score up a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I would definitely say, if depending on, like, everybody don't want to rent. I mean, everybody doesn't want to buy, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
Because it could be too much maintenance, because with when you're renting, you can just reach out to your landlord and be like, hey, this broke,
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
you fix it? And they'll fix it,
Yeah.
so when you're a homeowner, you have those responsibilities on yourself to complete. And I think that that's the reason that you kind of take care of your home a little bit better, because
Yeah.
if you don't, then that stuff adds up,
That's true.
so.
That's true.
Mhm.
So on this article, it basically kind of goes down, what you would pay if you were to purchase a house versus what you would pay when you're renting a house. So just really quick numbers, based on, a home price of $315,000, according to this article, 3.5% down, 6.5 interest rate. It says if you own the home, uh, it looks like you could break even with, if you were to rent. So in 2 years and 6 months, you would probably spend 64,267 on renting for 2 years and 6 months, versus owning, you would spend about 63,843, and that's where they get the kind of break even number from. Now, on an owning standpoint, if you were to own the home, you could gain equity of $48,000 in that 2 years and 6 months. And then if you decided to sell, and again, these are just kind of high level overview numbers, if you decided to sell that same home in 2.5 years, you're looking at getting back in your pocket what we call net to close. You would get 23,271 versus paying out your landlord $65,000.
Come on.
So, I mean, we can get into the weeds with these numbers, but we're not going to do that. That again, that was just a high level overview of, when you're renting, you're basically paying, somebody's mortgage maybe plus some.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're purchasing or owning your home, the money that you put down, your down payment, and the money that you pay over the years on your mortgage, you're building equity in your home. Of course, that's based on where you live and what's going on around that area and all of that, that determines the numbers of, how much equity you start to gain. But I would rather put money in my pocket than to, just be throwing money away. But again, in some situations, we're not in a position to buy, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully that is a end goal, for the vast majority of us to become homeowners, but you got to do what you got to do, in whatever situation you're in. I just, like to educate people.
Yeah, and this is for the person that is on the fence about buying and
Mhm.
don't understand the benefit
Right.
Thing. I think that, when I purchased my home, at the time I purchased my home, of course, it was more than what I was paying in rent. My mortgage was going to be, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But now, today, my mortgage, what I mean, is probably way better than some of these rent payments that people are paying.
Yeah.
And so when you think about things on a long-term basis, then you realize it may be more of a long-term benefit for me to at least buy now, because who knows where the rent prices are going to go.
Right.
We have different things that's coming up. The values are going to go up, and as the values go up, that means rent is going to also go up because the demand is going to be higher. So just always kind of keep those things in mind. Just imagine some of the places that you rent now. It's like, wow, I would have never rent there for the amount that they are actually
Yeah.
charging.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I remember paying rent at $500-$600 a month. Now it's double. It's double that. Rent is like averaging probably about $1,200-$1,300 a month for a
Yeah.
one bedroom. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it don't be in just the best neighborhoods. Okay,
Right.
like, just to be honest,
Right.
so just keep that in mind. Where, as you got to know that the trajectory on where we're going is not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Economy changes. You never know where it's going to end.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you want to play to put you in a good position. You know
Right.
what I mean? So,
Right. Right. That's the end goal, hopefully, for
mhm,
a lot of us.
mhm,
And sometimes it could be because I work with a few entrepreneurs, you're not able to buy because you just weren't properly educated about how, like we talked about last episode, how
yes,
to file your taxes, or how to better position yourself as far as keeping track of your income. Your profit and loss sheets are very important when you're self-employed, because that's the only way for a lender to find out how much you actually make. You can tell them and you can show them bank statements all day long, but they're going to want to see, what did you file with the IRS? Are you truly reporting that type of income? Because that paper trail is important. So just make sure that you're doing what you need to do to position yourself to be able to take advantage of whatever the market is doing. And I know for some people, they don't know, you need to file at least 2 years worth taxes, self-employed wise, before you can even say, hey, I'm just using my self-employed income. I'm not using, working for a company or anything like that. It has to be 2 years. And if you don't know, then you don't know. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here to educate you and
exactly. And
help you do that.
there's programs out there, right? That if you didn't prepare yourself in your taxes properly, that there are, what we call non-QM, which means that basically they're not your traditional products like FHA and VA or things like that. They're more so non-traditional, the ones that you can kind of, you can do a bank statement loan for a self-employed borrower. That just means you have to have more money to put down. And
Right.
here's the thing, the way that I look at it is, it's either you're going to pay the IRS the money, or you're going to buy, put the money down towards
Yeah.
the mortgage. You know
Right.
what I mean? To put it down. So it's one or the other sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong, there may be some programs out there that could actually help you at some point, but preparing, it's all about positioning yourself, right?
Mhm.
Putting yourself in the position to play.
Right.
And so, and get in the, home ownership game, because no matter what, like LaShonda said, you're going to pay somebody's mortgage, whether it's the landlord's mortgage or it's going to be your mortgage, and you're going to have some equity and ownership. And you're not just going to just kind of be giving the money away and paying somebody else to pay their house off, or invest
Right.
or get the equity, that they can get. So, but again, we don't want to seem like everybody doesn't want to buy, right? So this is
Right.
not for you. If this is not to convince anybody to do anything different, but it's to make sure you understand the benefits. There's benefits in renting. Like I said, you don't have to do the maintenance on the house. Definitely there's benefits to both sides of it, pros and
Yeah.
cons to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Mhm.
And even in that, talking about, just preparing yourself or positioning yourself, to evolve, I guess I would say, in your journey is, making sure you have balance, making sure you have balance in your life. Whether you work for someone or you're self-employed, and I'm guilty of this too. So I'm a work in progress, trying to create
Oh
that
yeah,
work-life balance.
we all are.
Um, being self-employed, like they don't tell you this when you're working for somebody. It's like they tell you, okay, be here 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. You go to break at this time, lunch at this time, and then you're off, and all of that. You're off on these holidays or whatever. When you're self-employed, you have to
Get
work.
vacation time.
What vacation time?
You get vacation paid time off, okay?
When we're off, we're off. Like, and that's a struggle for a lot of people. That for me, that's a struggle because I mean, unless I've taken care of everything I needed to take care of, it's a hard thing for me to be able to say, okay, it's time for me to stop. Because when I need to stop, it's like, okay, but I just need like 5 more minutes to get this done. But then that 5 minutes turns into an hour, then another hour, then another hour. So for me, I have to intentionally put things on my calendar. I have to intentionally set alarms, and I have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to stop at this time. Because if I don't, I will just work and work and work and work. And then my work life balance gets jumbled. And then I have to kind of like, just kind of reassess things. It's not easy.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, I had somebody tell me, they were like you're always off. Say what?
No.
Like, no, that is furthest from while they enjoying a week's vacation off.
Right.
It was kind of like, I think it
Yeah.
took me back for a second. Like, no, everything I do, including social media,
Yeah.
including going to events, including everything that we have to do for our business. And when you're in a building phase of your business,
Yeah.
you don't even know where work-life balance can fit.
Right.
I think
Right.
that's why it's important. Like, my husband, I'm like, I'm so thankful for my
Yeah.
husband, because he's not, he's one of those ones. It's like he's a teammate, he's a team
Yeah.
player. Like, at the end of the day, he could probably be doing a little bit more than what I'm doing when it comes down to the home.
Yeah.
And it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So but he understands, like, we're in this thing together. We got to get through this part in order to start enjoying some things. And so, sorry,
Right.
it's somebody, I don't know if you can hear that or not. But I'm telling you, work-life balance, you don't get a real balance when
Mm-mm.
you're self-employed. Honestly, I mean, you have, especially if you have kids, and on top of, if you're married, or if you have other things, you got friends and sisters that want to see you, that want to
Mhm.
spend time with you. And honestly, you're always thinking about ways to improve upon business, and
Yeah.
also be trying to just be a better person for family and friends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
It's a
a
struggle, girl. It's a struggle. I know y'all heard my 4-year old. She, mommy, mommy. She will knock on my door. She will open it. She don't care. She don't want to hear any of
they
that.
don't care about
Look,
that.
got my oldest daughter calling me now. What do you want? I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to get stuff done. And it's the little things like that that will make me do, like that. I can't remember the movie, but it's like the dog kind of like, he like squirrel, and he get distracted. Like, that's me. Like, the smallest thing, I'll get an email of something that I've been waiting on, but I'm in the middle of something, and I'll just be like, oh, let me go answer that. And then I don't know if that's like ADHD or ADD or what.
You lifing. I tell people all the time, like, it's honestly, I have a family, and if people can't understand that,
Mhm.
then it's like we might not be a good fit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, I'm not upset about it, but I understand that my dynamic is different,
Right.
and I have
Right.
to move accordingly to that,
Mhm.
you
I
know?
have to set a cutoff time.
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
Like,
I say, if you call my phone or text my phone after 8, it's more than likely not going to get answered. Because
you
if I don't, then people, like, I was talking to somebody the other day at like 10 o'clock at night, but I was coming in the house. Still I shouldn't have answered, but I was just like, well, it's going to be a quick call. It turned to almost like a 20 or 30-minute call. I'm like, oh, I did not expect that. But
Nobody respects your time. No,
mm-mm.
it's literally all about them, and that's understandable, right? Especially if they're the client. So
Right, right, right,
it's just one of them things you have to. And I think as your business grow, of course, you start to set those boundaries up,
right,
and you start to put people in place that can help,
right,
kind of field some of that
right,
stuff that you don't need. But when you're in building phase and your business is starting to, grow into that place, then you're having to kind of make sure you make these adjustments. And I just think that I remember somebody talking, somebody coming into my when I was in corporate. And just imagine, I think there are even people in corporate, of course, they're not self-employed, they still have issues
Yeah.
with work-life balance,
Yeah.
so it's not just self-employed people that have issues with work-life balance, because even when I was in corporate, I probably was signing in after time, just trying to prove myself, of course, that I want to elevate, grow, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but you still have to be able to kind of, like you said, set some boundaries. And she was another woman. And I think women, we are the ones that kind of get it a little harder than the men, because
Mhm.
we are expected more so to kind of deal with the home, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And on top
Mhm.
of trying to deal with this and trying to make sure we're
Mhm.
taking care of this. And it gets overwhelming,
Yeah.
honestly. It's
Yeah.
very overwhelming. And sometimes you just have to be like, Lord, help me.
Yeah. For
I'm
sure.
I'm not doing, I'm not doing a great job at this part right here, this juggling part,
Right.
so it kind
Right.
of helped guide me. So,
Yeah.
but definitely she was just saying like she hired nannies to take her, do everything for her, and I ain't mad at that at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I don't want to really just be like, oh, push off all my
Mhm.
responsibilities to somebody else, because I don't want to be involved with my children. Like that's
Right.
not, that's not for me,
Right.
So everybody was like, is that the only way that we could have a little, that ain't even balanced. Because if you just, that's all work then in that case.
Yes. It's
But this is
hard to
what she was
separate
saying
it.
for us to do as far as it helps her with work-life balance. I'm like, oh,
Right.
okay.
But I mean, and we do though have the flexibility of our schedule. Like we can say, okay, I'm not going to work today, or okay, I'm going to stop working at this time, or I can push this to this time versus actually working for somebody. Um, so I also wanted to talk about the big thing that came up last week, which was Universal Studios
Come on.
coming to Frisco. Like
Hmm.
that's a huge thing. Like I'm kind of
And
impartial
resort.
to it because we already have a lot of traffic. And especially over there in, the Collin County area, it is already a lot going on. You got the Dallas Star, you got Nebraska Furniture Mart. Like, can we really take on Universal Studios?
It looked like Texas take
Oh
on
my
Universal Studios. Okay.
goodness. Now but from what I read, it's going to take a few years, obviously, for them to build on those 97 acres. But just the thought of all the traffic that's going to be out there, like it's going to be crazy. But that's good for Texas because, that means we're growing, we're evolving, there's benefits to it. But
Buy your real estate now.
oh, I'm telling
I
you,
can't say that
position.
enough.
Yep.
Buy your real estate now. If you
Hmm.
can buy some real estate, buy the real estate now,
Hmm.
because I'm just saying, like, once that attraction come out here, we have so many different things. The value is going to come up, because people are going to be buying vacation homes out here. They're going to be traveling out here all the time, moving out here. It's going to be something huge. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things. The first thing, and I thought about property taxes too. I was like, "Ooh, Frisco property taxes, honey. Let me go ahead and sip to that one. I don't know."
Yes. Definitely gonna be on the rise. They gotta pay for it some kind of way. It's
Yes.
gonna be
So,
crazy. I know they're upset, but and then the entrepreneur mind in me is like, oh my goodness, okay, what is this gonna do for the real estate market? Like, are people gonna want to sell their house now because they don't want to be around all that attraction? Like what does that mean? Are a lot of people gonna now start, even more people now going to start moving here to be close to that attraction, or like
Airbnbs are gonna be up. I mean, I'm
that's
just
gonna be a
saying.
big thing. That's gonna be a big thing. But I'm
Mhm,
excited though just to see
mhm.
it because it's something more for the kids to do. And I have a 4-year-old, and there's not like I don't want to take her to Six Flags. Like it's not a lot for her to do at Six Flags. You got the first part where you walk in, and then you probably go over to like the mine trains or something like that, the mini mine trains. But other than that, like the Six Flags is like for teenagers, I feel like. But this
Yeah,
Universal Studios is supposed to be for ages, what they say, like 3 to 9 or something like
true.
that. And then they're going to expand it, of course, but it's still going to be in the mindset for children of that age. So
Mhm.
they're thinking like 3 to 9. It's going to be trolls themed, Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah,
Minions, Curious George, all that good stuff. And I'm like, well, wow, like that's
yeah.
going to be a lot of fun. And then they're going to have They're going to have 5 different, so I guess that's the themes. So 5 different, 4 to 5 different themes inside, and then a 300-room hotel. So it sounds like it's going to be like a Great Wolf Lodge on steroids without the water.
Right, without the water. But we do have so much out here. I love Texas, y'all.
Yeah.
And you hear y'all, it's gonna be just like that. I love Texas.
Yeah.
So we have some amazing things coming up. That's why, it's important for y'all not to just believe in yourself. Like I can't
Yeah.
say it enough. Believe that you can do it. If home ownership is where you desire home ownership, you can't think about anything else but some home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that you can do it because you can. If I could, you could. I'm just being very honest. I couldn't believe that I actually was able to achieve that,
Right.
because it was so far-fetched. So I just know that when you have the right team or the right people with you, just be careful, of the people that you share information with,
Yeah. Yeah.
of what your heart desires too. I mean, be conscious, let God know what you want to do and let him work that thing out for you,
Oh, yeah.
But
For sure. For
for
sure.
sure, I would definitely say, be careful of who you share, and just if that's your goal, get it. Go get
Yeah.
it. You can
Yeah.
get it. It is there for you. I promise it is there for you. Whether even if you just need more income, go find you another job or something to
Right.
help you with some income. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or take up a trade or something. There's so much out here to be done.
Yeah.
Money to be made also,
Yeah.
I mean, now things are so digital. Find something that you truly love. When you do things that you love, it doesn't feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is work sometimes, like, but it doesn't feel like work because there's a purpose behind it. So find out a way how you can make money off of doing something that you truly love, or even something that you took up and now you love.
Right. To help
Something,
you accomplish those goals.
and you got to try some stuff, you know what I mean? And you don't try it, you don't never know. Like I tried a couple different things because
Yeah.
I knew entrepreneurship was something I wanted.
Yeah.
And, even though those things didn't work out for me, I didn't give up on it, on that. And I knew that it was something else for me. So just always keep that in mind when you're doing it. It can be done. It
Right.
can be done.
Right. And there are just to kind of wrap up the rent versus buying segment of this
Mhm.
podcast, there are rent to own or lease to
Mhm.
own programs out there. I know in Texas we have at least 2 of them that either one of us can share with you
Yes.
if you're interested. If buying is just not in the cards for you right now, but you want to take that next step to home ownership, those 2 programs are very great programs out here in the DFW area. And we can share more details on them and get you in front of one of their agents so that you can see if you qualify for the program to be able to purchase a home down the line. So
Yes. Yeah.
there are options. Don't give
There
up.
are there are always options, and you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And don't give up, because the process, again, I'm gonna always talk about the process because that's the part that people always want to skip over. And it's like,
Hmm.
you
You
can't
can't skip
skip
over
the
the process.
process.
You can't.
You
You
just can't.
can't.
So
So, with that being said, I always say I like to live by the golden rule. I like to treat people the way that I like to be treated. I'm not going to tell you or do something to you that I wouldn't do or say to myself. So always remember to follow the golden rule. You can't go wrong when you treat people right or you treat people the way that you want to be treated. It's going to come back. Whichever avenue you decide to take is going to come back to you tenfold. So just take that and run with it, and just be encouraged, and don't let the naysayers discourage you from whatever it is that you have
that's
planned,
very
whatever your
important.
goals are. Just push forward toward them. If they don't agree, then they don't agree. Just keep it pushing. And we always like to leave you with some positivity, so just remember to empower each other
Embrace your true self.
and evolve on your journey.
Good
That's it,
day.
y'all, for episode 2. Thank y'all for
Yay.
watching.
We
We
did
hope
it.
that you got something from this. If you guys have any questions, just leave them in the chat box, leave them in the comments, and we will definitely get back to you.
And tell us what y'all think about the theme park coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
tell us
think
that.
we're going to have a lot of mixed reviews on that.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining.